a lot of the time. Now, when they lost their most recent game and dropped an 11-game win streak, it was when they kind of went be a little bit off par when it came to that thing, those kind of things. We saw the likes of Ezra on Merbs and Chimera on Arius, not typically champions that we associate them with here in Division 2, and it meant that they didn't really have that late game hyper carry insurance that they typically have and they play towards, because their ability to funnel resources into Merbs in particular has been very, very strong. Stumpy's been doing as good a job as he has been on the weak side, and as for Chimera, pretty much just does any role he's given. It's something like Galio, he's playing, local defensive, he's playing something like Oriana, and he's always having good trades in the mid lane, making sure that he's going to be there and ready with these very strong shockwaves in the team fights. On the opposite side for Lucent, we've seen a little bit of a mixed bag. We've seen meta things come out of Lucent, we've seen very unorthodox drafts come out of Lucent, but most importantly, I think Lucent's ability to sometimes adapt to what they see on the opposite side in the drafts is what makes them a very interesting team to watch.
Okay, don't worry, Munster win. There we go. We don't need to play this game.
Unfortunately, Munster just won the entire draft by not being a Jinx B1. So let's see what Lucent want to do. The Zeri is still up and available if they would like to go for it. We have seen Fuyu pilot that one before to relatively good success. Of course, they can just hold on to the AD carry pick for a little while, go for the likes of the jungle, even the support if they want to, a mid lane pick. It's really down to their discretion as the Hecarim will come in. Of course, seen this rise of priority for a little while now. And of course, I wouldn't necessarily say considered quite in the S tier of junglers worldwide, but definitely A at the very least.
Yeah, it's definitely a pickable pick.
Yeah,
probably the best way to word it. We'll see what they look to pick in here. If they want to go for something that can go in the mid with it, they're actually going to go for the Varus again. It's been the jungle and AD carry rotation here as our first rotation on red side for 2 games in a row. So maybe shaking things up a little bit more. Curious to see now what Munster are going to go for. A couple of enchanters obviously banned away by them, so not going to find an enchanter with this Jinx. Could go for something engage heavy, something like a Leona, like the Nautilus, something that they can kind of pair that Jinx to start fights on a snap, kind of also be that meat shield in lane. Gonna look for the jungle as Gabosh.
You get there eventually.
Gabosh has taken the Viego hit, so didn't expect to see a jungle in this rotation. I think you don't want to not get your jungler in the first rotation. I think the pool is a little bit too slim to not be picking up here without getting things that would be a little bit more comfortable taken away. The over now to Chimera to make the final pick. I'm assuming we're going to be seeing a solo laner. Yes, I assumed we were going to see a solo laner.
So definitely curious to see Stumpy come out with a Camille blind pick of all things. And now this gives the opportunity for Lucent to not only get counter pick in the top lane, assuming that this Camille gets in play. That's the only explanation for a B3 Camille. But not only does this give Lucent the opportunity to get a potential counter into Stumpy's Camille, but it also gives them the opportunity to get priority on a support pick as well. But instead, they say, no, we're just going to go for the right hit. So a little bit of shutdown here now onto what I'd expect to be Chimera's champion pool. After the Ahri, I would expect the Orion to come out, but we could also see something like Syndra also be banned away. Plenty of options to try and pinch down Chimera's champion pool, which depends on what you don't really want to play into as this Lucent lineup. As for Munster, probably just looking at top laners now. If this Camille will be the top laner for Stumpy, and with that Urgot, it does certainly signal that would be the case.
Yeah, it looks like we're probably just going to see another ban coming in the mid, another ban coming in the top. Like you said though, curious to see which one there's going to be, whether it's the Oriana or the Syndra. Part of me feels like the Ori. I feel like I'd rather leave the Ori open, but actually they're going to go for the Galio, so kind of a bit of the pick here for Chimera. It does obviously have some extra picks as well available if you don't want to take one of those two. There are still champions up and available you can look to pick up here. We'll see what they're going to go though. Beside a Lucent, I'm assuming this will be their support. And then remember, this Ryze can technically flex.
There is that aspect to it, and the Galio definitely does make a whole bunch of sense through the thought process very clearly. Well, they have Camille. We don't want to have to deal with Camille locking down a target and then getting Galio in every single team fight. It's just very, very unfun, and the set will follow as it's something that Castrina has definitely lent on as a re-engage tool that has been very, very powerful for the Lucent lineup. As I do worry, however, going for the likes of the Ahri, the Galio ban, whilst certainly the Galio ban makes a whole bunch of sense, the Ahri, I won't say less so, but what we could end up seeing as that Secled is this kind of Exodia comp where, and I'll talk about it in a second, I know I'm excited too, where Chimera gets to play something like potentially Victor into all of this dive, And
Oh
then,
God, Victor's still around. Yeah.
and then Munster also get something to keep Jinx alive, who could also play the same role for their hyper carry mid laner.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Munster potentially went out on the side lane and have two hyperscalers with not too much of a way to necessarily consistently shut those two members down, as that's the Tahm Kench, so that's one piece of the Exo. You call this the left leg.
I'm amazed that they didn't go for something like a Thresh, actually.
I mean, I think the thought process more or less is Tahm Kench has less counters, right? You can still go for something like Rel. I think if Zimba really wants to take the 2v2 to this bottom lane, I think
That's the double. That's the triple horsey comp.
It really is.
They actually take the role, please, Lucent.
I think honestly, I think for Lucent, Rel, the Syndra being locked in, it makes it a little bit harder to find engages. So now, now it's a little more difficult. But if you're playing purely for 2v2, you either go the Rel for more engage, but you already have enough. And Enchant wouldn't even be too terrible. I don't mind.
Soraka has hooves. She kind of counts. She's like a unicorn.
And Soraka here is unironically kind of cracked. I mean, they only really have for Munster pretty much Camille as hard engage, and Camille is not going to have too much follow-up behind her. I would love this to get locked, and it does. And this is the kind of, you know, crazy things that we get out of Lucent, where we'll call them sort of the savants of drafting sometimes, where they'll see these angles and they'll be like, okay, it's not necessarily conventional to what we see very, you know, consistently in our meta, but this just makes sense. This is an angle, and it's why what does make Lucent quite fun to watch, even if they often lose off the back of a lot of these picks.
One other thing to note as well is, other than Jinx with her rockets, Munster are a little bit short range. Sure, Syndra can obviously extend the orbs by scattering them, but once that's down, Syndra does need to get semi-close to be able to actually cast her Q. So the silence field, especially in these tight-knit areas in the jungle, very, very powerful at stopping Munster advancing forward. Really nice pickup, actually. I like that.
I will say, fortunately for Munster, I feel like Lucent's play pattern is going to be very forward. With the Kled, with the Hecarim. And the Rise will probably just realm warp and join in on the mayhem just for the sake of it, especially once you get sort of 2 items, 3 items in. It becomes very hard to get
jumping on Fuyu. Jumping on Fuyu will be a little bit harder. Just a little bit.
And and for Munster, jumping in on Fuyu is just, it's not impossible, right? Because Camille hookshot ranges is really long. Can always take on mayhem. But my problem then becomes, if Zimba is sitting on top of Fuyu as well, all he has to do is drop the silence on top of the Varus. And press R key, and she's healed the precision protocol damage. So
and W as well.
W, so I will say, at least in theory, this Lucent composition is quite strong.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
I think it's more or less just going to come down to the execution of things. Individually, obviously, you look at the Munster lineup, you just say, well, you know, this could just end up being player diff regardless. Definitely could be the case, but I will say what Lucent have come out here with is very, very fun.
It's creative.
And I think more importantly, it has a very strong chance of being effective.
Yes, but I do, on the flip side, have to raise, if this doesn't go well, it's going to go bad real quick.
Yes, that's definitely... I mean, those are always... It's the double-edged sword of drafting like this, right? You're never quite sure whether or not you're going to have the opportunity, you know, to play out a comp as crazy as this. But we'll see as... We are here onto the Rift. Munster, a little more of a conventional draft. Definitely Lucent with some more out there tools. The Kled as well. We didn't really quite get to talk about it in laning phase. And funnily enough, I was speaking with a top laner from the university scene about Kled because he wanted to learn a little bit about Kled. And a little less known fact about me. I was a bit of a Kled monster in my day. From time to time, I've played everything for a period.
I love Kled. Kled's actually my favorite competitive champion. I don't like playing Kled. I love watching Kled. I think the outplay potential on the champion, he's so hypey with the remounts and the dismounts, and like there's kind of like minor invincibility frames he gets. I think he's such an exciting champion to watch. Every time I get to cast a Kled, I get so super excited. I absolutely love him.
All right. Well, I can't wait to hear the charge call out still.
I feel sorry for the poor Valorant guys next door.
So do I, but sort of getting down to business in terms of the lane matchups, I think Syntax, if he wants to exchange his HP bar and his mana, he can definitely gain priority in the mid lane, but Chimera is kind of a similar deal, and it seems like at the moment Chimera is having priority in the mid lane. Of course, trading is going to be in an abundance down here in the bottom lane. The range kind of does go in Lucent's favor. 1-to-1 in the AD carries, obviously, once the rockets come out, if them start stack up, then it can become a little bit difficult, but you can always just play a range with the piercing arrow as Zimba jumped on, dodged away from But this will just get very hard. Zimba gets to stack up the spell fees for free. Again, Hail of Arrows. The poke is going to be very obnoxious. And even if you find a little bit of poke via Tongue Lash, Zaps, Zimba's just going to heal it back up.
Yeah, exactly. Seeing Castellan have a pretty rough show of it just early in the lane. Stumpy did a pretty good job, Tim, but obviously you have that kind of pseudo health in the what is Cled's rat called? It's a lizard, but
I'm going to let you sit on this one.
Courage. I still call it
dog?
Yeah, cowardly Cled dog.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Fuyu. Able to dodge away from a lot there. It's the flash, the tongue lash, the spectral maw.
I will say, interesting summoner choice here from Fuyu. Has the heal, doesn't have cleanse.
Oh, interesting.
He would have personally have preferred the cleanse as, oh, Gaboosh steals that away.
Oh.
And the worst part is priority in the mid lane, the bottom lane. Fantasy might just lose his blue buff at the same time here, and it seems like that will be the case. Gonna get knocked up by blue as well.
Oh, they found him. A little bit more damage. The flash ignite. Fantasy lives first. Blood to the catfish. Double scan of the week by Chimera. Onto the traps. They are shooting fish in a barrel right now.
And this is just all great pathing from Gaboosh. This is Gaboosh saying, all right, I reckon Fantasy are just gonna full clear on Hecarim, kind of turn his brain off and go, all right, I'm just going to go for the 24 camps into maybe a Skull Crab if I have the priority for it. And Gaboosh just does 4 camps and walks into the mid lane, into the jungle and gets everything. Blue in trouble.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a dead catfish.
That is a dead catfish.
The tuna steak. Calling back to the last game.
I like that one. Syntax turns that one around really, really well. A little bit of an overstep there from Munster. Trying to get on to the Lucent mid laner. And he will find himself with a kill and a red buff, which could be kind of handy. If not for the slow, definitely for the regeneration inside this lane.
All right, Jamada.
Yes.
This is your second time going abroad.
Yes, it is.
Second time, Germany. Yeah. Both times you've been abroad.
Yeah.
What are you making of it?
This is a weird time to ask me, but sure, I'll take the question. Yeah, I've been enjoying it. Like Jake says, for anybody who doesn't know, I have been a bit of a land rat. Let's just say I've never a land rat. I've never left the UK up until 2 weeks ago. Just circumstances meant I've never been able to fly, unfortunately.
He didn't have wings.
Yeah, sure. It's not the broadcast for that. But no, didn't have wings, unfortunately. Needed a particular drink for that one. That's what I was getting at. And yeah, I have to say, it's very different, to say the least. But at the same time, coming from London, coming to Berlin, they're both obviously major cities, both capitals of the country. It still very much kind of feels the same, you know? It's just, I'm walking down the street and I'm just hearing people speaking German and not English, and that's honestly it.
I mean, to be fair, you found my hometown different. Gerardo went to my hometown before coming out, so you found my hometown that's in England different than London. So, you know, everything's different. What's your favorite bit? What do you like most about Germany? Oh, hold on. I have to hold that. They flash. They unleash power. Scatter the weak. Syntax is run down. Gaboosh gets the kill.
Yeah.
Very clean.
Relatively clean. Almost messed up. Gaboosh didn't quite manage to find Spectral War, but still, it's a flashless rise. Very hard to escape that setup.
Yeah.
Favorite part about Germany? I will say this is going to put a smile on any Germans watching the broadcast. The Donner. The Donner is...
The lamb Donner.
The lamb Donner
genuinely
from
same.
Yeah, the food options seem to be quite strong. And I will say, prices too. The prices of the food options are pretty decent.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I mean, I think this is just me coming from London where everything's just overpriced.
Yeah, like...
With the exception of, like, chicken shops.
Well, chicken shops in London, you're rolling the dice on whether or not you're going to be on toilet all day.
Nah, you're just going to bad chicken shops.
That's called wrong. Yeah, I rolled the dice. I rolled wrong.
So you're rolling dice that only have 1 to 5 instead of 1 to 20 on.
It's like Mario Party, you know, where you got like Luigi. You got like 3 1s and then 3 7s. You're either getting the best chicken of your life or you're having an awful time of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I agree though. The Donner it hits different over here. They're looking for Fuyu. Can he hit that Spectral Maw? That W actually just completely stopped him from doing anything. Or E, I can't remember which one it is. It's the
E. The W is the heal, the Q is the slow /
heal.
Self-heal.
Yeah. But anyway, Baloo, you good, mate?
That is right.
For anyone who's not been to Germany before, when it comes to the doner, the German doner, what makes it so good is if you've had an English doner, it tastes good, but goddamn is it greasy, and you feel so poorly after eating it. I can eat a German one and feel completely fine, and I've got a pretty bad constitution when it comes to food, so the fact I can eat consequence-free kebab, definitely the best thing about Germany for me.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Some people say it says a lot about Germany, but I don't think that does. I think there's a lot of good things. Oh, Stumpy.
Yeah, Stumpy just experienced a bug I'll talk about, assuming Castrulin can...
Intercept! Castellan, he is not going to get up in time. Gaboosh takes him down. Stumpy gave him a thumpy. Now Chimera going to get jumped onto with the unleashed power. Rocket's going down. Chimera just about holding on to his life. And he finds the kill. 1 for 1 in the mid lane.
So Stumpy, what exactly, Jake? I didn't quite...
He gave him a thumpy, you know? Punched him.
Gave him a thumping. All right, fine. I'll give you that.
What do you think I said?
I don't know. I just heard something in my ears that just didn't sound like thumping.
Oh, no.
Stumpy... Unfortunately for himself, if we get the replay of the top play, I can demonstrate.
No, we don't get replay because Murbs is getting kills. Zimba! Bleh! Murbs able to find the kill.
Yeah, fortunately there was enough minions to help Zimba out with that 1v1. Otherwise, that might have been a bit of an issue. And now actually has access to the Wish, of course, which that's a big, it's a big deal. In terms of being able to sort of play.
No! Cat versus goat, who wins?
Barrier wins.
The goat had a barrier.
Yeah, that's it sounds biblical almost.
What, the catfish versus the goat? He's a demon or a devil.
True. As okay, replay. So Stumpy, when he hook shots here, you'll notice he kind of drops off the wall. And this happens occasionally if you double tap hook shot a little bit too fast, you get that sort of weird animation where you just don't get it. But fortunately for Munster, yeah, flash, intercept, spectrum wars there. The damage, however, was almost returned by Castrulin. That's always the threat of the Clen. As yeah, mid lane engage. I think a bit of a mistake there by Fantasy. I'm not sure he meant to actually right click Blue. Maybe A-clicking on the floor made him auto-target onto the catfish. That's my best guess.
Yeah.
As to why it didn't go onto Chimera. But because of that, Chimera gets the trade kill. And what happens down here in the bottom side? If you just ult it immediately, yeah, it just looks like hit 6. Passive stacked up on a killed creep and just goes for the 1v1. Something like that, yeah. There you go. Hail of arrows.
Oh, that flash!
Way, okay, so it's the outplay from Murbs that gets him the 1v1. As I will say, Fuyu played that quite well with the stacking of his W, the blighted portion of his auto attacks. She wasn't able to find the execute with piercing arrow to pop that magic damage to give him the 1v1 kill. But that is why typically Varus is such a hard matchup for Jinx to deal with, because just the 1v1 power of Varus is typically one that outpowers the Jinx. But now, because of all the pressure that's been put down here time and time again, Fuyu finds himself 2 levels below Murbs. Murbs, actually, if you could take a look at the gold, I'd love to see it at this moment in time as well, because you 1.5k.
Well, keep on it, because it's about to get even bigger.
And this is the issue, right? When you give Munster a champion like Jinx, for one, they're just so accustomed to playing the style of play where they fund the resources, but I mean the Devour's there, so this is just...
And they're gonna swim, they're gonna get interrupted. Can he get Murbs out? The charge is down, he dodges out on the fear. Gaboosh is coming in, and actually everybody's been able to survive. They're gonna continue here with the Spectral Maw. Murbs has a little bit of damage coming out from the rockets, but Chimera comes in with the flash. The rocket lands onto 3. Gaboosh is going low. Everybody is wished up by Zimba. That was very risky. Another Spectral Maw being charged. Fantasy! He's caught, he's zapped, he's back. Chimera finds the kill, and now they have a pony on their team. Chasing down everybody. The catfish joins in, and it's a heartbreak for the side of Lucent, as they are just absolutely clapped in the bot lane.
It's just a head-scratching decision from Fantasy there to go back into the bush. You know Munster have control of the river. Why do it? Why face check? Frustrating one almost, I feel. You're rooting for Lucent there, but Munster, I mean, they're just gonna rub their hands together and capitalize happily. Walk away with the Mountain Dragon, walk away with just about everything they could have asked for. Get the tower, get the kills, and yeah, we've asked Reed to keep the gold up, and I think he's listening to you quite devoutly.
You may put the gold away now, Reed.
It's quite scary. Yeah,
Yes.
I was about to highlight there is now a 3K difference between Fuyu and.
So, do you remember what I said at the beginning of the game?
Yeah.
This is a great comp, but if you fall behind, you really fall behind.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to be able to see the game we wanted.
No.
Lucent here.
And this is why I said, like, in theory, this is a bit of a fun comp for Lucent to try and pilot out, right? They've got a top side where they can definitely sort of win out in the 2v2, especially with the ultimates.
Yeah.
When the ultimates get involved. But aside from that, you know, it's about the scaling. Fuyu, Zimba, at least 2v2, they should have been winning out in that lane. Unfortunately, because of the invade, and I won't say the auto pathing from Fantasy to go top to bot and get invaded, but the fact that he did go for the full clear and it was very predictable pathing and creative and punishing pathing from Gabush just means they weren't able to play out that 2v2 for a very, very long time. And because of that, now we're seeing a situation where Merbs is already at 13 minutes into the game, halfway towards the second IM on the Jinx, which we've seen him on time and time again. And it just feels like after Munster lost that game, they were no longer feeling like drafting away from what their strengths are, at least in stage on the regular split. We have asked and questioned many of the Munster members time and time again whether they have multiple styles, and the answer is yes. But when they have pulled out different styles, they've not necessarily found the same level of success.
I mean, technically, they're correct. They do have different styles. Are they capable of playing different styles? Is another question.
Yeah.
Now, looks like we might have a bit of some action here on the top side. Plates are going to be falling off. Oh, the catfish into the dunk. Zimba's used the wish, and he's wished for a Kled. Charge! Baloo is going to get knocked up. Shooter for the moment. Trying to get onto him for the moment. They get the kill picked up by Castrolin. But now the rest of the team are coming through, and Merbs is resetting. And he is resetting. The Kraken Slayer is slaying Lucent. 2 members fall as Gabush hunts down Syntax with a heartbreaking kill. That's another one in the bag for Munster.
Yeah, Munster, I think they're just going to run away with this one now, and it's just an amazing knockup to start that one off from Blue as well. I'm not actually sure what information he had at hand to go for that. I think that ward just above that top brush in between both the towers there. That ward there, I think, gave them the knowledge they needed to go for it all. And the follow-up was just absolutely phenomenal. And once Merbs had free range to just fire away with the rockets, there was nothing else to really say about that team fight at all. We'll get the replay of it, and it's, yes, that ward on the vision. I assume they just see Fantasy and Zimba eyeing up some kind of rotation.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah, and I mean, they go to clear the ward, they just get knocked up. Zimba able to sustain quite a while, but has to basically retreat, not really going to be able to add anything else to the team fight. Kashurin does come in, like you say, wished for the Kled, and they do knock down the catfish, but the issue is funneling into a choke where Jinx is just right-clicking with rockets, and the AoE splash is a little bit too much to deal with, and Gabush with the Kled.
Why did he go back? Actually, I think if he'd gone back, Gabush could have killed both of them, because he reset Heartbreaker there.
Might have been able to.
That might have actually not been
I don't think it was necessarily what he was looking to do.
Yes.
But it did potentially inadvertently save Zimba's life.
Yes. Well, this is quite the large gold lead. Pretty hard to kind of break down what Lucent can do here, because they do still have tools to work with. They do still have, you know, some element of, you know, team fighting capability, especially once Zimba's got a couple more items. The healing becomes quite obnoxious to deal with. And at the moment, there is no Grievous picked up onto the side of Munster. So Munster, you know, Zimba already healing fairly hard here, but it looks like they're trying to collapse once again onto these Lucent members. Not going to be able to find them, as they will just step back underneath this tower to safety. But Gabush with this Rift Held wants to place it down in the mid lane, and that was a rocket thrown out from Merbs, just looking to try and play interrupt as Stumpy might be looking to give Syntax a little bit of attention here. They know he's there, and he's going to get hookshot. He's going to get absolutely popped. Wish comes in. Syntax holds his life at the moment, but the rockets from Merbs gets him excited, and Fantasy will fall. A double kill for Merbs. Just like that, they're going to get 2 charges here. But they don't even need 2 charges here. They take the tower before it even gets the charge off. And oh my word, Chimera is unleashed. Missed the scatter of the week though. The tower goes down, and charge number 2 may just be coming out. Chimera's going to look for the zone. And Munster, they're already in the base. Find the scatter, find the zap, find the flash, find the kill. Merbs is excited, and Fuyu is just absolutely destroyed. They're onto an inhibitor at 17 minutes. Only 3 members standing to contest this as well. Munster are looking for potentially the fastest game of the split. They've got a massive wave to work with. They've got a fed Mervs. The wave can get cut through by Syntax fairly quick, and the charge is going to come out. They're looking to redirect onto one. The slow, the snare, the lockdown, but nobody dies. Munster are out, and they get away with murder on that push.
And they can probably just go back towards the Dragon uncontested too. Castrulan with Fantasy, they're going to try and eye up something, but the ultimates just aren't there. Castrulan does have Zimba in his back pocket, so maybe a little bit of a hard target to take down, but
no
Munster,
wish.
No wish, yeah. Munster, I think they're just going to take this Dragon, run to the hills, on the cusp of trying to make this look like a blitz scrim.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not able to end there, as that's a deep teleport, and they're going to know, but will they react?
Well, Chimera's actually kind of isolated. They're flashing in. What a scatter! Blue comes in to save the day! Chimera's still alive! The backup are here! It's a double kill! Picked up onto the Jinx. Zimba jumps away, but he's hook shot. He's bopped. Blast cone after blast cone comes out, but a triple kill for Merbs! And Munster are just looking so terrifying right now. Lucent have no answer to them.
Absolutely no answer indeed. It's just like we highlighted at the start of the game. The draft, creative, yes. Like you said, I won't even say we, I'll let you claim it. You said simply, they fall behind. It's just a hard comp to really play into when you're given so many S-tier picks over. And unfortunately, that is just going to be the case. Munster, they're knocking on the doors at 19 minutes. They were 2 minutes ago.
Word. Chimera is just unleashed. A double kill picked up for the Jinx. Now looking to go to Fantasy. Merbs will find himself the triple kill. No, Stumpy gets it. What an orb. Again coming in from Chimera. It looks like the Merbs show, but Chimera has had a flawless performance on this Syndra. 19 minutes on the clock. And Munster proved to us why they are top dogs in Division 2.
Yep, yes, they do. They will take down Lucent in a sub 20-minute game. Not much to say about it. I think Munster just came business as usual.
Yeah.
Definitely, you know, loads of things you might be able to talk about in terms of sort of pre-game, right? The draft. Is it worth getting creative into Munster? I think so, yes.
Yeah.
But did you give them potentially too many tools whilst you did that? I think giving over the Jinx, I think they banned away the Aphelios in the first 3 as well.
I kind of called it when the Jinx got locked in.
Yeah, to try and signal. And I mean, it's one of those things where we've spoken with Munster before, and we've questioned them on the style of, okay, Merbs on hyper carry, give him all the resources, let him play the game. Can you guys play other styles? The answer is yes. And other teams have picked up on how they play, and yet we get games like this, where unfortunately, no team really seems to know how to shut down this gameplay style. So let's see whether or not, I think probably it's towards playoffs, when we see maybe Natives rematch up against them, or maybe even Flum.
I think for me, the question is about best ofs.
Yeah.
I'm curious how Munster perform in best ofs, because in best of ones, proven time and time again, they're bloody good. But it's about how they actually perform later down the line in an actual series, because games like that, you know, you don't really repeat that too many times in a best of 5, so we'll have to see. Anyway, we're going to throw to a very quick break. When we're back, we'll have some interviews with the winners of that final game, that second game. See you in a moment.